big part in how I was feeling. Um, and now I try to avoid stress as much as possible. We all know this isn't easy, as life often gets in the way. I adopted a 4-day rule quite early on, because every time something kind of was going on with my body, I was like going, is that MS? What's causing it, kind of thing. But I adopted a 4-day rule, and if whatever was going on was still around, that's when I contacted like the MS nurses or my doctor. If it was something that I could kind of live with, if it was anything more urgent, I made contact more quickly. At the time I was diagnosed, there was no funded medications here other than the injectables, which I wasn't keen on, so I continued on unmedicated. 6 months after my diagnosis, I went with my mum, who I know is listening, hi mum, to the Overcoming MS retreat, or OMS, in Melbourne, which was amazing. All I had to do every day was make my bed. I met about another 23 people with varying degrees of MS and abilities. This was a very valuable time for me. It gave me a chance to stop and learn a lot about living healthy with MS. It gave me hope. I started on medication August 2015 and followed OMS lifestyle very strictly for 3.5 years until mid-2016. Later that same year, I had my second MRI, which showed complete healing of my spinal lesions and reduction in some of my brain lesions with no new activity. I do actually remember, because Jen is my specialist, I do remember her saying to me, you need to frame this MRI. This is amazing. By this time, I had experience with most of the medications available in New Zealand, and very much believe the lifestyle I had been following was helping my body heal. I had quite different reactions to all the different medications, and for different reasons they didn't work for me. But anyway, even though I had a great MRI, for some reason this wasn't enough motivation for me. And for the next 2.5 years to early 2019, I slipped on the lifestyle, not regularly doing anything that I should have been, and then experienced a severe relapse, which brought back and more all of my original symptoms one at a time. So something would happen, I'd wake up, something would be going on, and then I dealt with it, and then it would kind of wake up the next day and it was all gone, and then I'd wake up the next day and then something else, and this went on for like about 8 weeks. It was difficult, as I needed a lot of help, as I couldn't walk straight, drive or cook a meal, and I have family. I also had vision issues, which was extremely difficult, as every time I turned my head, I lost focus and felt really dizzy. I've been on ocrelizumab or Ocrevus since December 2019 when it first came out here, and my MS has been stable ever since. My yearly MRIs confirm this. This doesn't mean I am symptom-free. I'm not. I still have symptoms that I experienced previously, but they are my new normal, I guess. I forget everything. I have multiple to-do lists on my phone and often interrupt people because I know I'm going to forget what I want to say if I don't say it now. I make healthy choices as often as possible, and it isn't always possible, but I don't beat myself up about that. Sometimes I just need to have ice cream. Okay, one thing I often wondered when I was newly diagnosed and met other people with MS who are or are not on treatments is what their current symptoms are, because it's so invisible. For me today, almost 11 years later, I have numb fingertips. That doesn't mean I can't feel my fingertips. It just means I can't feel if something's like oily. Sort of, it's a sensation thing more than anything. And when I'm tired, my left hand goes numb and my left wrist burns. It's all a reminder for me to slow down, sit down and rest. My feet burn, but I think less now than they used to. My balance is a little off at times, and yes, as I mentioned, I do have brain fog, which I know can be managed. I am currently attending an MS gym in the area I live, designed specifically for people with varying degrees of MS. that not only helps with fitness, it reminds us to listen to our bodies, do as much as we can do, and also do exercise which challenges our brains. The biggest thing I have learned on my journey so far, and what I would like to be able to tell my newly diagnosed self if I could, I have some pointers. Find your people to be on your journey with you. It really does help. My family have been with me every step of the way. They are all very understanding, and we laugh a lot about the silly things that I do. I have very close friends who have always had my back and just know what I need and when. MS Auckland, I have, of course, and my doctor and specialist who you have just seen are amazing, and they are my people too. If you choose, we are now your extended family. You are not alone in this journey. Join a coffee group. There is nothing like connecting with someone with MS as they actually get it. When I know I'm attending an MS Auckland event or a coffee group, I feel like I'm going to see my second family. I meet a lot of new people along the way, and I have built some really great friendships with people I see regularly. Don't sweat the small stuff. If you are too tired to cook, do housework, exercise, don't do it. Listen to your body and rest when you need to. You can always do it tomorrow. If you need it, ask for help. It's hard to do, I know, but it's really important. Do take time for you. If you weren't before, you are now the most important person in your life. You have a life-changing diagnosis, and what you choose to do with that and who you want to take along with you is up to you. Find your happy place wherever that may be. Don't make yourself eat food you don't enjoy because you know it's healthier for you. I kind of go with an 80-20 rule. Make good choices most of the time with food, lifestyle, and exercise, and I don't beat myself up or feel guilty the rest of the time. It just creates unnecessary stress. No question is a dumb question. If you are thinking it, then very likely someone else is too. Keep a health diary and add an entry if you think it would be good to read or remember at a later date. I do this on my phone, and I found mine recently, which covered the first 3 years of post-diagnosis for me. I found it very interesting, and I had forgotten quite a lot, but there's no surprises there, right? You are the captain of your own ship. Be your own biggest advocate. Ask questions. You are in control of you, and this is your new journey. Finally, if you are newly diagnosed, you are likely feeling vulnerable, reliant on family and friends, perhaps feeling physically and or mentally weak and confused, wondering what lies ahead for you. I want to share something with you. This year, I made the decision that MS for me stands for Made Strong. I have realised I am strong, and I have made a decision relating to making a change in my personal life. I realised I need to live a life full of love, fun, and laughter, and tick some more things off my bucket list to take the people with me who mean the most to me, and I have started to achieve that. Whatever your situation is, anything is possible. It's up to you to take care of you. Thank you for listening.
Debbie, thank you so much for your really real, beautiful, somebody just put in the Q&A. Yeah, your honesty and walking us through all of your journey, and especially all those things that we don't often talk about publicly if we focus on the kind of medical or the the symptoms. I really liked how you need to have your team with you, and also that sense of humour, which can be such an important strategy, and also being aware of your own limits and what your body's telling you at that time. Thank you, Debbie. You're an incredibly strong person, and especially supporting other people with MS all the time.
Really I love doing that. I love talking to people who are newly diagnosed, and yeah, it's really, really neat. But to have the opportunity to do that's awesome.
Wonderful. Does anybody have any questions or just general comments that they want to type into the box that you might have for Debbie, or just something that really spoke to you that she said? I think that that might be it for now. I've got a bit of a question, and that MS is so different for everyone in terms of the you know, how it plays out in your life, what the symptoms are, and how much of your life, I guess, it impacts at any one time. So providing that support is just about, you're able to speak to the underlying or listen to what people are going through on an underlying level.
It's awesome. I just love it. I mean, I go to coffee groups with people, and you know, I go to a couple of different coffee groups, and we don't sit and talk about MS all the time. Quite often, if someone's new there, we'll often ask a question about sort of where they are at in their journey, and that's always really interesting. If we've got questions, we ask each other, but we often just talk about life and what's going on in our world and things like that. So, and I mean, it's awesome. I have just seen a question that says, any relapses since starting Ocrevus? No, I've been completely stable. I've had no relapses at all. So I hope that answers the question.
Wonderful. There's just a couple of comments here. I appreciate the corridor around finding your people. Love the talk. Thank you. And another one about, so nice to hear some relatable things others are going through. I can relate to the bucket list thing in choosing who is here with me on my journey, as I find some make it more stressful than it needs to be. I'm finding learning how to communicate my needs and boundaries is helping.
That's really important. My girls, while they were 4 and I think they were 4 and 15 when I was diagnosed, I've got quite a gap between them. It's awesome because they are there for each other, but I mean, MS for me is not something I wake up and think about every morning. I definitely used to. I used to wake up in the morning going, oh my gosh, are my legs going to work when I try and get out of bed? I know how that feels. MS isn't me now as such. I know it's always there, and I have just adapted my life to help myself. It's not unusual for me, especially last few years, where I would pick my young one up from school, and the next hour and a half, I'd just rest myself because I knew I had, you know, dinner to deal with and bedtimes and homework and things like that. So I just found things that worked for me. Exercising in the morning is a good time for me when the school starts. I'm home alone kind of thing. It's just really, yeah. It's just my family my girls are awesome, and they just know if I'm not cooking, that's fine. One of them will cook. So they don't expect too much from me, which is awesome. It's good.
Wonderful. All right. Thank you so much,